Hello everyone, I'm Professor Toybox. I've got Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey with me, and we're back in my Fantasia toy box, which means it's time for another episode of Toybox Tutorials. Today we're going to start building another side quest for Mickey, and this one will be much more exciting than finding the sheep in the last one. If you've seen the Fantasia movie, you know that there's more to that movie than just Mickey and the brooms. There's lots of other characters too, and one of those characters was the demon Chernabog. You can see him near the end of the movie. He stands on top of Bald Mountain, which overlooks a small village below. When night falls, he summons all of his minions, some of whom dance before him while he throws others into the mountain's fiery pit. He's a real nasty character, which makes him the perfect villain for this next side quest. My idea for this side quest is that while the magician is sleeping in the castle over there and Mickey is dealing with the broom crisis in town, the demon Chernabog raids the magician's castle and steals a powerful artifact, which he takes back to his fortress up here on Bald Mountain. And so to complete this side quest, Mickey must travel to Chernabog's fortress and recover the artifact. The first thing we're going to need is an artifact, and that brings us to today's topic, collectibles. You'll find the collectibles in the gameplay toys drawer, and if you enter the drawer and scroll left, you'll start bumping into these right away. You have some challenge rings, which are good for flying through. You have some challenge orbs, which are good for collecting or shooting or breaking, and then a whole wide variety of other things. Good long list of them. And then if you keep scrolling over a little further, there's a few others. So if you have the Lilo and Stitch and the Brave Forest Siege toy box games, or the Escape the Kiln toy box games, then you have this Kiln loot piece and this Kiln keycard collectible. And over here is the Dunbrock pastry collectible and the Dunbrock backpack. That's what that looks like to me. So those are some additional collectibles that aren't located over here with the rest of them. So I wanted to make sure you didn't miss those. So for the artifact that Chernabog is going to steal, I thought maybe we could use this parchment scroll. Seems like something a magician would keep that somebody else might want. And so I'm going to place that right over here on top of this little platform. And as we drop that, there it is. And now I'll go into Spark mode, and we'll take a little bit closer look at this. So we can open up the logic menu for this toy, and you'll notice there's no properties. There is a new path connection, but again, we haven't talked about paths yet, so we're not going to cover that at this point in time. And then there's the new logic connection, and there's two trigger signals that this toy will broadcast. One is when this toy is reset, and the other is when it's broken or collected. And it kind of depends on what kind of collectible it is. If it's one that you shoot or break, then it would be broken, or if it's one you pick up, it's collected. But either way, it's the same trigger signal. And we're going to end up using both of these for our little side quest here. And you can also invoke this toy to do some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and hook those all up here today, and we're going to set up the basic framework for this mission. So I'm going to leave that right there, and we'll come back to it. So for our mission giver, I'm going to put him in the castle, and I'm going to put him up on top of the main building here. So we'll come up to the townspeople. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to use this little guy with a spear, because he looks like a good guard type enemy. And I want it so that when you come up this ladder here on the back side, I want to put him over about here. So I'm going to set him at about this point. And I'll come in here to the logic menu and get down to those properties real quick. And I'm going to make him sleep for just a second so that he doesn't wander off on me. And I'm going to have him standing still initially. So there he is. So when we come up the ladder, we'll see him, and we'll see the castle there in the distance. And now we're going to need a few toys to make him a mission giver. And once again, we'll need a radar marker. We'll need a text displayer and a dynamic trigger. And once again, since this is a tutorial series, I'll go ahead and hook all of these up again here instead of doing it offline. So the beacon type will again be blue because this is a side quest. The beacon location is the connected actor, and it's off by default. And we'll go ahead and connect this up to our actor here. And that went a lot easier than last time. And for the dynamic trigger, let's go ahead, since we're on a roll here, maybe, and we'll hook him up as well. And we'll set up the dynamic trigger so that once again, it's over the connected actor and not the creativity toy itself. And the trigger distance I'll set to 6. And the text displayer, once again, we'll set the properties so it's a duration of 4 with the type of proposal. And all players can accept or reject it. So, the thing that ends the initial quest in town, once again, is the counter. So we'll come back over here, and I hit that underneath the terrain. So on the counter, for the first quest in town with the brooms, we'll do a new logic connection, and when 0 is reached, we'll come over here to our radar marker for this mission giver. And we'll turn that on. And we need to do the same thing for the dynamic trigger. Let's see, that was... which toy? Oh, no. Sorry, it is the counter. I had an old man moment there. 0 reached on the counter. I was looking for a dynamic trigger. That's up here. Duh. Alright, and then we'll make sure that's turned on. And like our farmer over there, we do not want that dynamic trigger turned on at the start when we load up the toy box. So I'm going to come over to the level starter that we set down last time. And on Catalyze, we're going to make sure that that dynamic trigger is off. Like that. And so that we don't have to play through town, I'm going to go ahead and set up the button here that bypasses the quest in town. So new logic connection when pressed. This will not only turn on the farmer's quest, this will come up here and turn on this side quest as well. So that will need to activate the radar marker and turn on the dynamic trigger. And this way we don't have to play through this main quest in town. Hey, there goes the dragon. Cool. Bet I couldn't do that again if I tried. It was nice to get a close-up look at him. And our button should turn on that toy. Now, when they approach our little mission giver here, when entered on the dynamic trigger by player Annie, we'll come over to our text displayer. And for this, we're going to come down to the missions drawer. And he's going to say, I need your help. Or he could say, this mission is critical. Yeah, this is a major crisis. So we'll say, this mission's critical. And then on the text displayer, when the proposal's accepted and we agree to help him, we'll turn off the dynamic trigger. And we'll do that again and turn off the radar marker. Okay, so initially the scroll over there I don't want to be visible when we initially load up the level. And so we're going to come over to our level starter and new logic connection on Catalyze. We're going to come over to our collectible over here in Chernobog's Castle. And let's see, got to get to it. There we go. And we'll come over here and reset this. And actually, it's not a reset that I want to do. It's a hide that I want to do. So we'll edit our connection and make sure we do a hide. So when you load up the level, and the level starter kicks off, it will hide this collectible so it won't be here. So if the player decides to skip the quest in town and run around the toy box and they run up here, they won't see this collectible. And that'll be good. But that means that when we start our quest over here, we do need to turn that back on. And so we'll come over here once again to our text displayer. And on a new logic connection, when the text proposal is accepted and we agree to help him out, then we need to make sure we turn this collectible on. There we are. It's a little finicky. And in this case, we'll do a reset. And that will restore the collectible to the way it looks right now. And so that puts the collectible there. And then once we come over here and grab it, we need to finish the quest. And so that means we need to do a little celebration once again. So we'll come over here to the collectible and we can set up a new logic connection on that so that when it's broken or collected, we'll come over here to our celebration toys, which we drop down for our main quest in town. And those are right under here. So we'll come over to our sound generator first. And under the musical category, we'll do the fanfare again. And likewise, a new logic connection when it's broken or collected. We'll come over there to our action enforcer and have Mickey celebrate. And we'll have all the players celebrate. And then again, it'd be nice to have some fireworks. So I'm going to come up here and drop a locator. And we'll put this right underneath the collectible. And we're going to use that locator for several things. But for right now, this will be for our fireworks. So we'll come back to the Gameplay Toys drawer, and I'm going to scroll over here to find the fireworks cannon. And for right now, we'll just set this over here. And we'll connect this up to the locator. And that will be where we have the effect. And that might be actually a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this over a little bit. Having them right on top of each other makes it a little difficult to select this. So now, on the collectible, we'll do a new logic connection when broken or collected. Come over to our fireworks cannon. And we'll do the, let's see, same thing we did before, a large snowflake. And we'll make this one blue. And there we go. So we've used the collectible to set up the whole quest, basically. And this works well with a single collectible. So there's other toys like the collectible tracker, and we're going to look at those later, because I'm going to do another collectible quest later on. But for right now, this works pretty well. You can use the single collectible to finish the quest, as we've done with the logic connections, setting off the celebration. And you can show and hide it as needed for your quest, and so we've done that. So now we're ready to go ahead and test this out. And like I had said before, I don't really want to run through the main quest, so we'll use our button here. And actually, before we even do that, let's go ahead and save. Always a good idea to save before you go and test something. So for our Fantasia toy box, we'll do a save. And I'm not going to actually exit out of this to test the level starter connections at this point. We can just assume that collectible would be hidden and the trigger area up there in the castle would be turned off. So now if we were to run through the mission in town and save the villagers and defeat the brooms, that would trigger both that side quest and that side quest. But since I don't want to run through and do all of that, we'll come over to our button. And now we've bypassed the quest, and you'll notice the radar marker in the lower corner there has both his quest on and his. So we now have a radar marker up there in the castle. And so I could run through the castle, but that'll actually spawn some brooms, and I don't really want to fight those right now. But basically you'd run up those stairs and over here and climb up the castle wall onto the castle up here. And we come up to our mission giver, and he says, this mission's critical. And we'll say, okay, we'll help you out. And now you'll notice on the radar marker, we should probably have a radar marker to tell us where that collectible is. And we can go ahead and hook up a radar marker to that locator that we put down over there. And I'll do that in a future video. But now at this point, to get over there, we would need to run through the castle and out the door, and we can either run up that ramp and all the way over around there, or we can run over here and climb up this cliff. But either way, just to save time, I'll zip over here real quick and drop Mickey over here. And now there's our collectible up there. And so we need to run up here and pick that up. And there we go. We've recovered the scroll. So there we have the basic framework for our mission. We have the mission giver, and we can recover the artifact to end the quest. But right now this is rather boring. It's just a simple fetch quest, but we're going to look at some other toys in the coming weeks that we can use to really spice this up and turn it into an epic side quest. Until then, don't forget to sign up on my blog or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that, so you don't miss the next episode in this series or any of my other Disney Infinity projects. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.